This election is a unique opportunity for some real democracy to take hold in one facet of how we are governed. An elected Police and Crime Commissioner will be able to shape the policing of the Thames Valley in a way that has never been possible before, and by law has to pay attention to the views, concerns and priorities of normal people. This is almost unprecedented in our political system, where all too often the interests of the constituents are sacrificed upon the altar of central party priorities. Which is why this role must not go to a mouthpiece for one of the old establishment parties. It would be a real waste if people voted along their habitual tribal party lines without really looking at the principles and priorities of the candidates. The role of PCC is overtly democratic and populist, and whoever takes this office must be someone who is dedicated to providing a real democratic voice to the residents of the Thames Valley. As PCC, I will strive to be that voice, always putting personal preferences and priorities aside in favour of what the people want me to do. I will be their servant, not the servant of a Westminster party who will use this role to score points against their fellows in the Commons. As PCC, I will take action to combat antisocial behaviour. I will work to establish awareness of the consequences of crime. For too long, the deterrent aspect of law enforcement has been neglected. I will do everything possible to deliver the policing that people say that they want. More bobbies on the beat, higher detection rates, faster response times, and real punitive consequences for criminal activity. I will work to rebuild police morale by cutting extraneous paperwork and bureaucracy. I will give the police the confidence that I will do everything that I can to make sure that they are adequately resourced and supported, and that I will fight their corner against a disconnected Westminster establishment, disdainful and contemptuous of the difficult job that they do. The fact that I do not have professional connections with the police or law enforcement spheres is a huge advantage, and indeed I would argue that anyone who is a product of the establishment that has left the criminal justice system in such dire straits lacks the vision, will and fresh ideas to effectively and impartially deal with the challenges facing the Thames Valley Police and the system as a whole. My frustration with how the criminal justice system has been warped from its primary intended purpose is shared by my running mate and intended deputy, David Kennedy, who over 32 years, while he was working in the prison service, witnessed increasingly damaging initiatives on the part of successive governments erode the efficacy of the system. The old parties say that they want to be tough on crime and tough on the causes of crime, but they have repeatedly failed to deliver on their promises and shown that the wishes of the people, the normal law-abiding majority, are secondary to their own agendas and ideologies. My opponents will say that they are independent individuals and that their party affiliations are reflective of their values and not of their intention to pursue a doctrinal party line. But let us look at those values. Leaving aside Labour's disastrous economic record, under the last government we saw an increase in the number of community sentences for people who should be locked away from society. Expanded sentence discounting, easier terms for parole and licence, and a cultural shift that placed the rights of the criminal over those of the victim. The coalition government has done little to reverse such poorly conceived ideas. The Liberal Democrats and Conservatives seem to think that spending money on foreign aid and useless and expensive vanity projects like HS2 is more important than properly funding the police. They have also allowed fundamental elements of our criminal justice system to become privatised, something I'm totally against. Community safety should never be subject to profit margins and shareholder interests. All three of the old parties are also guilty of allowing courts and systems of jurisprudence totally unaccountable to the British electorate decide when we can deport terrorists and foreign-born criminals from our shores, or indeed dictate whether or not prisoners should be allowed to vote. Recent Conservative measures to repatriate criminal justice powers to the UK come with far-reaching caveats. Rest assured that after these elections, there will be yet another series of U-turns in time for Christmas. With positions such as these reflecting my opponent's general values when it comes to criminal justice, affiliation to any of the old parties while claiming to have the faintest clue about what normal people actually want when it comes to how they are policed is impossible to justify. It is time for something new, some fresh ideas, and a common sense, impartial, democratic approach. I believe that it is time to make a statement to the old parties, to tell them that their promises are no longer believed by the law-abiding majority, and that their excuses will no longer be accepted. I hope you see that I am the person to make that statement. Thank you.